Hi, and welcome to this episode of Make It Monday. I'm Keran, the Vinyl Segment Specialist, and today we're going to be talking about sublimation. Now we'll be making a project, but I also just kind of wanted to go over some basic information about when you first get your sublimation printer and maybe kind of troubleshoot some things for you. So firstly, when you get a sublimation printer, we sell the F170 from Epson and 570. The F170 is a smaller version. It's 8.5 inch by 11. And the F570 is the 24-inch roll printer that's also a little bit more of a professional printer. The F170 is more of a crafter home printer. So when you first get your printer, some of the things that happen that a lot of customers ask us about is color. Why is my color a little bit different? My red looks a little more orange. My royal looks more purple. Sometimes it has to do with your design software. So for instance, I use CorelDRAW, and I know if I'm going to be using red, I need to find a specific red that looks more red. And the easiest way to do that is just to choose a few reds from your color palette and go ahead and print those out, press them on your substrate so you can figure out which red works for you. Same thing, royal is one of those colors, purple is a color that also is a little bit different, and each design software is different. So some colors, like I said, CorelDRAW comes and gives me an orangey red. AI tends to give, or Adobe Illustrator, tends to give a more true red. So the next thing that we want to talk about is polyester. So sublimation is good for 100% polyester. That's going to give you the most vivid print. Now, if we're adding, let's say, some blend to that, let's say we do it a 60-40, what happens is only the polyester threads are going to dye in that particular instance. So after it's washed, it's going to look a little vintagey or maybe faded. And that's just because the sublimation ink will not dye cotton. It will only dye the polyester parts of that garment. Now, if we're talking about 100% poly, we have a couple of options here. What we're most familiar with are the more shinier polyester fabrics. These are going to be kind of like the compression shirts, and then they make some that are looser fit, but we're very familiar with those. There's also a more cottony feel polyester fabric. So it is still 100% polyester, but it feels a little softer and more like cotton. These are really great, and a lot of customers don't realize that these type of shirts exist. And so I just kind of wanted to give you an idea on maybe something that you didn't already know. It's still, the print's still gonna look very vivid. All right, so what I wanted to do was then also talk about, customers will give us a call and say, hey, I have a box on my shirt after I got through printing it. How can I get rid of it? So there's a couple of options. One would be to rip the paper so that we get rid of that sharp edge. This is a great feature for making sure that you don't have the paper box. The next suggestion is to reduce the pressure and or the time. Now, test prints are super important with sublimation. This gives you the ability to check to see, hey, is this too hot for my polyester? Because some polyesters are more sensitive. And it also gives you an opportunity to see if you can back off the pressure and maybe also back off the time that your shirt has to be underneath the press. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shiny, because a lot of people find that this shiny scorches, and that leaves the platen box around on the shirt. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this shirt and we're going to sublimate it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to back the pressure off, and I'm gonna back the time off and give you an idea of what this looks like. So, super critical things that you need for sublimation printing. Craft paper. Craft paper is very important. Most of the time when you're doing a sublimation blank, you may have a bleed, so it goes edge to edge, top to bottom. And so if your sublimation ink gets off and happens to transfer to one of your platens, you don't have a platen cover, you're gonna have sublimation ink on your platen for a very long time. It will ghost just about everything you do. So I've got a platen cover on here, and I'm also covering it with craft paper. Easy to throw away, super inexpensive. So then I'm going to go ahead and put now you're probably thinking, Keran, you don't need the craft paper for your shirt. Just in case, I'm just saying that sublimation ink can get everywhere. So I'm going to put a shirt on my heat press. I'm gonna go ahead and put that transfer on. The next super important thing that you need is transfer tape. Transfer tape is very important because this paper doesn't have any adhesive on it. So it can pull up and away real easy. So we're just gonna go ahead and apply some tape here to keep that transfer on the shirt. It won't ghost. Okay, and one final thing I'm gonna do is I am going to apply a cover sheet. Again, keep that sublimation ink off your platens here. All right, so I am going to sublimate this shirt. Again, I pulled back some of the pressure. For the longest time, all you heard was high heat, high pressure. But unfortunately, some polyesters are too sensitive to the high heat, high pressure. Also, if you're using blanks, you can find the directions on what the vendor or the manufacturer recommends for sublimation. Some of these are as low as 350 for 15 to 20 seconds. So you might be surprised. So I went ahead and reduced that temperature and that time. And I still am getting a full color transfer. And if you'll notice, on this shiny polyester shirt that a lot of people have problems with, you'll notice I do not have a box of scorching from the platen, and I don't have a box from the paper transfer. These are two very helpful hints for transferring on these shinier type polyester fabrics. I hope that you learned a little bit about sublimation in this particular video. Be sure to like, subscribe, even comment, and tell us how we're doing on our videos. And maybe if you have any questions, we can maybe help get answered for you. And also be sure to check out our website at gogsg.com. We hope to see you again next time.